So today we're going to be talking about something that brought a lot of chaos to the media. It was about a 9-year-old girl getting pepper sprayed in the back of a police car by police. So we're here to talk about that and give our opinions and how we feel about it. So, Gabby, you did most of the research, so I'm going to let you take the head on this.
Okay, so from what I've seen was that the police was called on this 9-year-old girl from her mother because the girl was suicidal and she threatened not to harm only herself, but her mom as well. And so the police were called, and then when the police arrived on scene, the girl was under distress. She was screaming that she wanted her dad and she didn't want to go into the police car. And so they forced her into the back of the police car and ended up pepper spraying her. I'll just leave it up to that point unless anybody else wants to say their thoughts on this at this point.
She was 9, you said?
Yeah, she's 9. Like, can you imagine having those thoughts at 9 years old? At 9 years old, it's mostly supposed to be like about happiness, playing with your friends, just like enjoying life. You shouldn't really have those thoughts.
I don't know. If she's suicidal, I don't know how much she's enjoying life. But like, I'm just thinking,
like, no, that's not what I'm saying.
Oh yeah. Like, how trashy of a police officer do you have to be to not be able to contain a 9-year-old? Like, oof.
Like, it's not what I'm saying is like, if she's suicidal to that point, like, she's 9, she should be going out playing. Like, you get what I mean? Like, what were you doing at 9 years old?
I don't remember. Probably like not getting. You know what? Let's go back to the 9-year-old. Gabby, you were saying like what happened after that?
No, there was like, I believe there was like 3 officers, if not just 2, because I remember there was a lady there, and actually I'm not sure which cop did it, but the thing is that they suggested, like, you know, at this point just pepper spray her. And so
is there any recordings? Like, did they have it?
Yes, you're gonna be fine. Stop.
I want my dad. I'm not getting in no car till I see my dad.
Yeah.
Please help somebody. No.
Dear.
Stop.
I got her. I got her. Yes, you're gonna be fine. Stop.
I want my dad. I'm not getting in no car till I see my dad.
Dear, just stop for a second.
I want my dad.
Control 47, I'm in.
I want my dad. No.
Stop.
I want my dad. Wait, can I just please get the snow off of me?
I'll get the snow off of you.
It's cold.
In the car. You've had your chance.
Get in the car now.
Okay?
Okay?
You've had your chances.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
I want
You're gonna go to jail now too.
I want my
Have a
dad.
seat,
Wait,
dear.
I just want to see my dad, please. For the last time. I want my dad. Dad, stop.
Sit up.
Stop.
Sit up.
No.
You're acting like a child.
I
Stop.
am a child. I want to call him.
I will call him. Sit back. Come on, they are losing their patience. Okay? Come on.
Dear, why
Okay.
you just stop for a second and take a deep breath. Hey, just stop.
Please. I will get your dad.
No,
Otherwise,
you said that you were gonna pepper spray me. No, please, no, stop.
sit back.
Oh, I got a bad one.
Just spray her.
No, I have
Just
a bad
spray her at this
arm.
point.
Stop. Stop.
Dear,
Stop.
I got her. I got her.
Please wipe my eye. Wipe my eye, please.
okay, whoa, let me go back. Okay, so basically after that let me just say there was a part 2 of the body cams, but this part 2 happened before part 1. It didn't get as much like popularity or, you know, exposure in the news media. But basically what was seen was that the officer walked up to the 9-year-old girl, and she was just, you know, obviously under a lot of distress. She was like, don't touch me, I don't want to be touched, I don't want to go. She wants her dad. But her mom came up to the girl and she was yelling at her, she was cussing her out. And from their argument between the mom and the child, it was apparent that there was a fight that broke out in the house, which involved just straight up abuse between the mom and the dad. But the mom also physically assaulted the girl on the body cam. People say that she punched her face, but from what I saw, like she did grab for her head, and she was like, if you don't get your butt back inside the house, blah 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 blah. And so the mom actually went off, you know, actually picking a fight with another person in a car. And so the officer at this point was dragging, or the 9-year-old girl was walking away, and the officer was just like, didn't, you know, let go of her. But the situation just escalated for really no reason, because they were just trying to force her into the car. And the situation was so badly mishandled. I can't stress this enough, why you need more than one officer to calm down a 9-year-old girl, and even have to go to the point to pepper spray her, you know? Yeah.
There's so much wrong with this situation. Even before like the cops got there, it sounds like, one, the household sounds horrendous, first of all, for a kid. Cheese and crackers. Someone else speak on it. This is making me sad.
Yeah, I saw in the video, like, there were two policemen. They were both holding her arms out, and then they were like, they were trying to put her on the ground to like restrain her. But like, why would you restrain a child that's clearly screaming? And one of the police officers said, "You're acting like a child," to a 9-year-old girl. And she literally said, "I am a child," while she was being pushed into the police car. And the policewoman was like, if you don't comply, then pepper spray is gonna go into your eyeballs. And right. And then one of them who was trying to restrain her earlier was like, just spray her already.
Can we just like open mic talk about this? Because like, guys, I'm just thinking. Oh, go ahead.
I think two glaring issues with this situation that would be apparent to anybody is, first of all, that this is occurring to a child, and that this is occurring to a human in distress. First of all, police officers already dealing with mental health cases, and people in distress is already a big issue, because these are the types of people who are supposed to arrest you for doing something illegal, not necessarily take care of you when you're having a meltdown or you're experiencing an episode or that kind of thing. So that's already an issue in and of itself. But the fact that they are not only trying to deal with a human in distress, but a child who has not even reached double digits in distress, while trying to make it seem like they can control their emotions the same way that someone who's 25, 35, 45 can, is completely insane.
Exactly, dude. They're like, what shocks me is that they're literally treating her like why is she as a kid not allowed to be a kid? Like, if that statement of what he said was, "You're acting like a child," is true, why are you holding this? Clearly, like, I feel like, oh gosh, this goes back to like not only what was the guy who came in to talk to us the other day. This is exactly what he's talking about. Like, that's garbage. This
thing, like, if it takes that much to hold a child down, detain, whatever, you're incompetent. It does not take more than, like, I saw that, you know, people were defending the situation, like, oh, she kicked them. Woo-hoo, she's a child. If you're a police officer and you can't handle, you know, a child, you know, just thrashing around, then I'm sorry to tell you, you're maybe, just maybe, you're not fit for this job.
Isn't this like, why do cops even get like what Felix was saying about how like they're not, someone said, was it you, Felix, who said like they're not meant to deal with someone having a breakdown? Like, why are there at least apparent or popular like sources for that kind of thing. Why is the cops the immediate resource? Like that's not only does that put burden on the cops who probably weren't trained for that kind of stuff, but that also puts a burden on like the victims, because like it, from just an outside perspective, it's very clear that this situation needed de-escalation, and so barging in there and like arresting a kid is dumb. I think the parents should have been arrested, and then someone should have gotten help for the child and probably moved to a safer household. But like, Jesus Christ, this just goes into like the whole like reform thing, right? Like policing. This isn't even the first time that we've talked about how like policing sucks. Like in every one of our episodes, the main issue has been that cops don't know what they're doing. At least they're not trained to do what's appropriate in the situation. Like I feel like this could have been.
Cops are like one of the main people who get called because of people think that they are the people to go to. They're not trained into that type of stuff. They're trained social workers and stuff like that. Like I only know about social workers and stuff, but I feel like Felix knows more about it. And like you said, she should have been put in a better place. She's 9. A 9-year-old shouldn't feel like that. Like she's a child. She has so much potential. I think that's the word, right? Okay, I think good. She has so much potential, and for a cop to treat her like she's nothing, why she's crying, and like she wants to get free, she wants to get to someone she knows. She doesn't feel safe, she doesn't feel comfortable, and the whole thing that they are supposed to do is to make them feel safe, to protect them, not to treat them like they're a criminal, not to treat them like they're not a child when obviously they are a child. And if your training doesn't allow you to understand the difference between a 25-year-old and a 9-year-old, then there was something wrong with the training.
Yeah, to continue on with like what Nevaeh said, there are either two major options with that. You need to differentiate between distress and like mental health issue calls and bring out something like a social worker and maybe a police officer if the situation gets escalated to a point where it can become dangerous, or better trained police officers in a way that they can help de-escalate situations that don't involve a crime or something super duper dangerous. Because this is not the only incident where someone in distress or in a mental health crisis has gone hurt or killed by police simply because they are not giving the help that they are needed, but instead are treated like a menace to society. So it's not an issue of maybe we should stop sending police completely. It's an issue of, do we need to better train these people, or do we need to have people better fit for the job?
It's obviously, there's so many, different situations that the police are called for. They cannot possibly, handle every single one like how they should be. So I do agree with Felix that there should be different people better fit to handle situations like these, such as social workers. I don't see why, like, I think this goes back to like saying like defund the police, because we're putting so much money into this, but obviously these situations are still being mishandled the way that they are, so
it's not like that. It's like they're not getting the training. They're like taught to do something else. They're taught to fight crime. They're not taught to actually help someone in distress. They're not there to help someone in mental health. It's more about reform, or get them a program where it allows police officers to deal with that things. It's more about like to protect those who actually have something going on, instead of getting treated like they're nothing or get killed. That's what really needs help.
I think that's why people are saying ACAB, but Pia, I think you had wanted to say something.
I was, for my social justice class, we did read like this article about, like the police force and the police department, and social workers were replaced by police. And that's why they were getting more money. And I forgot what date was it, but
was it recent?
I don't remember. I read this article like a couple weeks ago, but yeah, they were replacing a lot of social workers with police, and that's how they were getting a lot of money. And like even in this interaction with the police with the 9-year-old girl, she's gonna have like lifelong trauma because she was manhandled by 3 full-grown adults and she's only a child. So if you look at that, there's 3 against 1. That little girl, she hasn't even fully developed yet. Her brain is different from majority of the adults that were there. So physically and like psychologically, she's gonna be like beaten down by that with that interaction. So yeah, defund the police. We really do need some type of reform because it's reoccurring and like it's a big problem.
I wonder though, like someone had brought this up to me and they were like, why would I defund the police if I want them to change? Like, wouldn't we fund it more? I think we need to redistribute the funding. I think someone has said that because if we defund, then not only does training get worse, I assume, because like no one will want to spend money, but I think like we need to focus it. First of all, the social worker thing, that's such a stupid move. That's a terrible move to put police officers there instead of social workers. Like, would you create, okay, so here's what I'm, like, if I'm, like, a policymaker and I need to make a solution for this, right? We either, like, distribute, like, the extra money that I doubt the police need as much money as we're taking. Like, you either take that money and put it into, like, social workers to get them better education or put more people there because the social workers are so overworked, there is not nearly enough social workers for the amount of cases. Or you create another training branch in the police. Like, I don't know which is more realistic or like how any of that works. I don't know.
Well, that's literally what the defunding movement is. I think there's a bit of information that the defunding movement does not mean we're not going to give the police any money, period. The defunding movement means we are going to extract some of those unnecessary funds that they seem to not be using for good or seem to not be using at all, and distribute them to either more things in the community, because like we said before, there are things in this community that increase crime and distress and mental health issues that money could definitely be used for. But you could, like you said, we could also redistribute it in the sense of like we give them more training programs, have factions that work with the police for different types of cases and that kind of stuff. And that's what the defund movement is all about. It's not just we're not going to give the police any money. It's we're going to rethink how we use this money for the police.
I see. Is there any update on the girl, by the way, Gabby? Do you know? Like, I don't know how this happened like a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah, like a week ago. She was taken to the hospital for all I know, but other than that, there's no other update about her.
It kind of makes me wonder, like, why is it that so I see firefighters and like cops, they're like not doing the same thing, but they're doing similar types of like civil duty, right? So why is it that we trust firefighters? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I trust that a firefighter will do their job more than I trust a cop. Like, what is the difference in their training and in the way they execute things that makes me like, I know this firefighter, not only do they do their job, but they go beyond from what I've understood.
One thing that I understand about firefighters is that almost all fire trucks automatically have paramedics on board. That's why in most situations that involve someone getting hurt, there's a fire truck in the location because there's a doctor on board already. And for the most part, firefighters, if you think about it in the most simple of terms, firefighters only have to do one job. They have to stop fires or prevent fires from happening. Like if there's like a tree that's about to like get lit by a power line or something. While police, it could be a bit more gray because, like I said, they do, like Gabby said, they do a lot of things. They're supposed to help stop crime. They're supposed to help prevent crime in some areas. They are called for like mental health situations or suspicious cases and all that kind of stuff. While it seems like the jobs firefighters have to do and the jobs the police officers have to do, there's just a disparity between that, if that makes sense.
Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. As Felix said, there's a lot that needs to be done. If you want to hear more from us, the Law and Order podcast, make sure to follow us on Instagram, YouTube. I don't know if I'm missing anything else. Project Vatu. Yeah. Like and subscribe.
Don't forget about Facebook too. Don't forget to follow at Project Watu and Close Stride. And don't forget to give us money, likes, and comments because we want to hear your opinions. And don't forget to share. So we'll see you guys next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.